Is this thing on? All right, yeah, I think it is. Hey, what's up, guys? We're so glad that you're here, whether it's your first time or you've been to youth group 100 million times. We hope you know that you're loved, that you're cared for, you're prayed for, and that there is a God who created you and loves you, and you are made uniquely in His image. So welcome in. We're glad you're here. There's a couple things I want to say. One of them is I want you guys to do it right now. I want you to grab a Bible, a pen, a notebook. Sometimes it's really helpful for me to have a notebook and I can just write down some thoughts. I can maybe write some notes from what the sermon was, or maybe I just had like kind of a little inspiration and I want to write it down. So I want to encourage you guys to get in the habit of doing that. But tonight I just kind of want to give you a rundown, kind of what to expect almost. And the first one is we're going to play some type of interactive challenge game thing where you're going to have to go do something and then send some photos in. And, every photo everyone who sends in a photo is going to get entered into a raffle, those kind of things. And we'll also have a segment about best things I've seen this week. We started it last week. I want to continue, just fun, really cool things that I saw that I wanted to share with you guys. We have a challenge for you. This week it's a punch card. Last week it was bingo. So if you didn't participate in the bingo, I want to encourage you guys to participate in this punch card. And you get to find out more details about that here coming up. And then the last thing that we'll do is we'll worship through song and through the spoken word. And so we'll play a music video, and we can kind of just center our hearts around that. And then I'm going to talk about anxiety. And so this is our 4th week of our anxiety and depression series, and it's going to be the best week yet. And so I hope you guys can walk away encouraged, and you can learn something, maybe learn a tool or two to be able to help navigate your faith and when you're trying to live out your faith in an anxious world. So really looking forward to it. It's going to be a great night. But before we get started anymore, I need you guys to answer this one question, and you have 60 seconds to do so. Are you ready? Okay, here's the question. Would you rather be unable to move your body every time it rains, or not be able to stop moving your body while the sun is out? You have 60 seconds. Ready to go. All right, hey guys, welcome back. Great responses on there. I love the reasons why you guys chose your options. Now what we want to do next is we have a little bit of an interactive challenge for you. So when I say go, remember that. When I say go, I want you guys to get up out of your chair, and I want you to take a picture of something that describes how you've been spending your time during this quarantine season. And then I want you to text it to this number. You ready? 541, write it down. 588-3477. So when I say go, you're going to go find something that represents how you've been spending your time. So maybe it's an Xbox controller or a movie case, or maybe it's an art book or something. Whatever you've been doing to kind of stay engaged with yourself and have fun and all those good things. I want you to take a picture. So the number, again, it's on the screen, but 541-588-3477. Hopefully no one has gone yet. And when I say go, we'll go. Okay? 3, 2, 1, go. Hey, what's up? So for this next segment, it is called Best Things I've Seen This Week. And we did it last week, we're doing it again this week, and essentially it's just some funny, maybe cool or interesting videos that I saw, sometimes mean throughout the week. And I'll say that if you guys have some funny videos that you've made or that you've seen, or you maybe have just something that's been really cool that you've seen online, we want you to share it with us. You can tag us, Eugene First Youth, or you can direct message us at Eugene First Youth. But we just want to, share some of the good, fun things that are happening during this COVID-19 season. So this week on Best Things I've Seen This Week, the first thing is, it's pretty hilarious. It might be my number one. And usually you try to save like your best for last or whatever. I don't know. But this one right here is hilarious because you've done this before, but the reaction that she gives has never been done before. Check this one out. So when I first watched that, I died, and then I had to watch it again and again and again and again. It was so funny. I hope you guys found it hilarious as well. For this next video, I was thinking maybe your parents have you doing some laundry and stuff and during this season. So I figured I'd just give you guys like a little laundry tip, Well, at least I'll let this guy give you a laundry tip. So check this one out.
Here's another life hack for anybody who cares. You open this, you take out this, you remove this, you gotta wet your fingers a little bit, and then you throw it behind there.
So I thought that was funny, but Roxanne did not find it funny. So I hope you guys found it funny. Don't tell your parents that you learned it from us. Probably just don't even do it. Fire hazard, all that stuff. But anyway, funny gesture. For this next one, the category I have for this one is quarantine crazy. And, you guys know, you're just kind of, there are some days and times when you're just kind of going a little crazy. And here's one of the things that you guys can do at home to help with the craziness. Check this one out.
While we're stuck in quarantine, everyone needs to release their steam. Everyone needs to release their steam. Everyone needs to scream.
You go first. You go first. You go first.
So that one caught me by surprise. I wasn't sure what was going to happen, but again, found that one pretty funny. Okay, this last one, cherry on top. I don't know if you guys have ever done this. You make some food and then you put some like salt and pepper on it, right? But what happens when you put a little too much pepper? Maybe you have a genius idea like this one. Check it out. So honestly, I can't blame her. Like, I thought it was a genius idea and it would have worked, but that vacuum was just too powerful. So anyways, those are a couple videos that I found funny this week. And again, I just want to encourage you guys, tag us and stuff, send us stuff. We want to be able to put up some funny stuff that you guys found or that you guys made. I know some of you out there are on TikTok, and so I want to see some of the videos that you guys made. All right, stay tuned to next week when we come up with some new things that are super fun and awesome and creative that I've seen this week. Peace. All right, hey, big shouts to Malachi Shane here for getting a blackout on his bingo board. And because you got that blackout, we're going to send you a Bluetooth speaker. You can use it in your room, you can take it to the park, you can share it, you can use it in the shower, whatever it is, that Bluetooth speaker is yours. And every time you listen to music, I want you to think of us because we love you and we are so excited that you get to jam out with a new Bluetooth speaker. So that was last week's challenge. This week's challenge is something where we all can win. And maybe it's not a blackout, but you do have to collect all the different boxes. So what that means is we're going to have basically a punch card of things to do, and we're calling it the Serve Punch Card. So what we want you guys to do is not just, sit around and be served, but we want to give you guys an opportunity to serve others. And there's 9 different ways that you can serve. You can serve people in your family. There's a few different ways you can serve people outside of your home. But what we want you to do is we want you to take that punch card. It'll be on social media. It'll go out via email. You can print it out. You can just save it on your phone. And then every time you check off a box, I want you to check off the thing that you did and then post it on social media at the end. You can post them all on social media, but mainly you just got to post that one on social media. If you do, then you are going to get either Dutch Bros or cookies delivered straight to your door by me. So for those who live outskirts of town, totally cool. You can still be in this week's challenge. And I'll come geared up with protective gear and deliver you your cookies or your Dutch Bros or whatever it is that you want. So there's 9 different boxes. You're going to get your punch card. You're going to do the things, and you have 1 week to do it. So you have 6 days. So Tuesday is the cutoff for that, and you can get your Dutch Bros and your cookies delivered the next day. So, all right, guys. Thanks for doing this week's challenge. All right, guys. Hey, so now what we have some important things that you guys need to know. These are essential. These are important for your livelihood to live today. All right. First one is camp. It is really important that you have camp in your radar. Camp is coming soon, and we don't want you guys. We don't want you to be surprised, right? So for high school camp, it's July 27th through the 31st. For middle school, it's the first week of August, so August 3rd through 7th. The registration is out, so if you guys are interested in registering, contact us, let us know. We can get you that link. If you just love to remember links, it's orpac.org/teencamp. Okay, I'll have it up on the screen. It's not too early and it's not too late to register for camp either. We are trying to decide if we're still doing camp. So if you do register and you pay $25 down, you will get refunded that money back. But we just want to make sure that you guys are preparing. So what I want you to do is when this is all said and done, I want you to go find your parents and I want you to tell them about camp and how you're really excited and it's going to be fun, okay? So last week of July, first week of August are those dates. Another thing that's really important to know is that on Friday we have a game night. So we've been doing movie night, we've been doing family trivia night. We're going to do a game night this time on Zoom. So if it's the same link, by the way. It's the same link every week. So if we're doing a Zoom call, I want you to follow that link. It'll take you right to it. But I will have the link sent out in emails and on social media and all that stuff. But Friday we're doing a game night. I want you guys to invite your friends, invite your family. It doesn't matter. We just want to get together and play some fun games together. If you have any suggestions, I'm open to them. I have a few that we are in my back pocket, but we'll see. Last couple other things is if you guys aren't following us on social media, you should do that. Eugene First Youth. You can stay up to date. We got interactive questions on there, devotions. We got Taco Tuesday. We have all these things for you guys. So if you don't follow us yet, I want you to do that. Instagram, Facebook, Eugene First Youth. We are there. Also, last thing, I just wanted to kind of think long term with you guys. So right now, I just want to encourage you guys that we're planning on worshiping like this for a little while. Maybe for the next 2 months or so. And so if you're getting kind of irritable, if you're getting frustrated about things, I just want to encourage you to take a deep breath. It'll be okay. You know, I want to try to make this your life fun and engaging, and hopefully through this on YouTube is something that can be a highlight for your week. So I'm planning on next month and the month after that. I've already got some sermon series on kind of up to bat stuff. So I just want to encourage you guys to stay locked in, stay engaged, keep doing your homework, keep being great students, set good time management for yourself. I know we had like a couple weeks of where it just felt like spring break, kind of summer break type of stuff, but kind of lock in and get back focused in on school and finishing out the rest of the school year, and then we'll have an awesome summer together. Okay, we're going to transition. We're going to go into some music and a message, and so if you haven't done so already, you know, I really want to encourage you guys to get up where you're at. If it's in a noisy room, you know, lots of people, and just find a quiet space where you can focus and pay attention, and maybe even a place where you can sing, because we want to play a worship song, and I want to encourage you guys to sing along with it. You don't have to yell at the top of your voice, but if you want to, the Lord will hear that. So I just want to encourage you guys to lock in, to be focused on what God wants to teach you tonight. All right, let's get it. All right, hey guys, welcome in to the message. I think the most appropriate thing to do right now is pray. So would you just bow your hearts and pray with me? Father, I thank you for today. I thank you that we have the opportunity to still get into your word. We have an opportunity to grow in our faith, to be encouraged, to be challenged. We have an opportunity to worship, even in the strange times that we're in. God, I pray for our time. I pray that our hearts would be open. I pray that the distractions, there would be little to none. And I pray that this time would be meaningful, and that you would use this to grow your church, to grow your kids, and that you would inspire us to share our hope in this world. So we give you tonight, God. We pray this in your name. Amen. Well, welcome in, guys. I'm super stoked for tonight. Just want to give you a quick overview, kind of what to expect. The first one is you guys will walk away from tonight knowing that Jesus doesn't ask for perfection. What he asks of you is that you would be obedient, that you would listen, so that you can share the hope and the good works that God is doing with others. So he's not expecting perfection from his disciples. He just wants us to listen, to trust, and be obedient to what he is doing in our life. The other thing that you'll walk away with is a better understanding on how to experience God's hope, and then share that hope with others. And we can do that in a few different ways. One is we can reflect on the reality that we are made in God's image. We can also recenter ourselves by spending time with God, and then we can reconnect our circle with our faith community. So before we jump too much farther in, I want to share with you guys this video of some teenagers who are answering some questions about anxiety. Check this out.
Sometimes it would make me feel uncomfortable to take deep breaths because I wasn't used to even doing that. So people would be like, breathe deeply. And I'd be like, this makes me feel worse at first because I just wasn't used to it. It wasn't something I naturally did, but like something I practiced doing, which now when I feel anxious, I'm able to say, oh, I have to take deep breaths.
Learning to respond to anxiety well is like learning an instrument or learning a sport. It takes practice during times when the pressure is off. We can practice breathing, daily prayers of gratitude, talking with caring adults, or even talking with our parents. When we take time to practice, it makes us ready for game day, ready for the performance, ready for the day of the test, or the day when friendships seem to crumble, so that when the alarm goes off, we're ready to respond.
First of all, I have a notebook that I've been writing in since I was in the 4th grade, and it's helped me a lot.
Being very active helps, like your mind disappears, it's just you and the body. It helps a lot.
Try to stay away from social media possibly because it might, I don't know, trigger something else.
I'll make tea. Tea helps me a lot.
There's like something about music that helps a lot.
I like to turn to God, for instance, and we basically just get a one-on-one conversation. I just let all my feelings out. I really have no way of doing it. You just talk.
To just kind of pinpoint the physical aspects of things, like am I getting antsy? And just to like notice those little signifiers like that, you start to see what it is that makes you anxious, and you find your boundaries. And then you can start to stretch those boundaries.
If the first thing you find or if what someone suggests to you doesn't work, that doesn't mean like that's the only thing that can be helpful. You should keep looking and keep trying to find something until you find something that clicks for you.
People are a good way to kind of like get you out of your own head with anxiety.
It's a little story about my friend who was in the car and we're in traffic, and he just started feeling anxious and he just started getting that feeling, and I was like, I know exactly how you feel. How can you feel better now? Like, would this help? Would this help? Would this help? And then he's like, oh, that would actually help, you know? So one of the things that happened to him, we pulled over and he got out and started walking. And that was one of the things that I had mentioned that, and he didn't think about that because he was just feeling anxious, you know? So knowing those feelings, I listed a few things that could probably help, and he just picked one and that actually did help. So that was good that I was there.
Because before I've told someone that I was having a hard time and they were like, oh, I was having a hard time and I never told anyone that either. And so you could be helping someone else by being the one who talked to them in the first place, you know? So you're not only helping yourself, but other people around you.
Like even just this conversation that we're having right now is encouraging to me because I would not have been able to say those things like 2 years ago. And now being able to like verbalize and articulate, you know, certain things that make me anxious, like different things that I can do, we can really figure out what we need to work on and how strong we are. Like, you're stronger than you realize. And just one day at a time, one step at a time.
Awesome, sweet. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with scripture. So if you have your Bible, I want to encourage you guys to open it up to Mark chapter 6, verses 30 through 44. If you got that Bible, whatever color it is, I want you to get it out. Turn to Mark 6, verse 30 through 44. If you don't have a Bible, I will have the lyrics, or not the lyrics, but the words up on the screen for you. Okay, Mark 6, here we go. The apostles returned to Jesus and told him everything they had done and taught. Many people were coming and going, so there was no time to eat. He said to the apostles, "Come, buy yourselves to a secluded place and rest for a while." They departed in a boat by themselves for a deserted place. But many people saw them leaving and recognized them. They ran ahead from all the cities and arrived before them. When Jesus arrived and saw a large crowd, he had compassion on them, because they were like sheep without a shepherd. Then he began to teach them many things. Late in the day, his disciples came to him and said, "This is an isolated place, and it's already late. in the day. Send them away so that they can go to the surrounding countryside and villages and buy something to eat for themselves." But Jesus replied, "You give them something to eat." But they said to him, "Should we go off and buy bread worth almost 8 months' pay and give it to them to eat?" But Jesus said, "How much bread do you have? Take a look." After checking, they said, 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish. He directed the disciples to seat all the people in groups as though they were having a banquet on the green grass. They sat down in groups of hundreds and fifties. He took the 5 loaves and his disciples set before the people. He also divided the 2 fish among them all. Everyone ate until they were full. They filled 12 baskets with the leftover pieces of bread and fish. About 5,000 had eaten. So in our previous session last week, we read a story of Jesus healing 2 people. You guys remember that? You might remember that there was a crowd and it was very busy, and they were trying to rush Jesus along. And people the crowd, the people, they weren't understanding why Jesus wanted to stop for a woman who had been suffering and bleeding and was a loner. You know, why would Jesus want to stop for her? We have other things to do. And then people were confused on why he would stop for the girl who was pronounced dead. Like, you know, okay, she's dead, let's move on. So that was the crowd's perspective. But in today's story, in Mark 6, with the feeding of 5,000, the crowd is dramatically different. This group of people, they really knew how to, and they really wanted to stop in their tracks and focus on Jesus. They wanted so badly to hear what Jesus had to say to them that they got so caught up in Jesus and his teachings and all of that and just seeking him that they forgot to eat. And what's really funny is the disciples, they were already tired and hungry. It mentions in the first few verses that they were tired and hungry, and Jesus recognized that and wanted to go and give rest and stuff. But you can imagine how they would have been feeling at the end of the day when they were probably just ready to be done, ready to quit, and probably just about to fall apart. So this story often is referred to as feeding the 5,000, and you know that's true. That is what happens, and you know actually it's probably even maybe more than that. But if we look a little bit closer at verse 37, it becomes clear that Jesus, he's not planning to help these people on his own. He's going to work through his very tired, hangry, and imperfect disciples to help these people. So let's read verse 35 through 37 again. Late in the day, his disciples came to him and said, "This is an isolated place and it's already late in the day. Send them away so that they can go to the surrounding countryside and villages and buy something to eat." Jesus replied, "You give them something to eat." But they said to him, "Should we go off and buy bread and spend all this money and give it to them to eat?" So what I want you guys to do is in the chat, on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the highest and 1 being the lowest, how anxious do you think the disciples were feeling at that moment? How anxious do you think they were? Do you think they were, very anxious because they were just tasked to, get food for 5,000 plus people? Or do you think that they're chill and laid back and oh yeah, it's Jesus, he can help? So do scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the most anxious, what do you think the disciples were feeling in that moment? One thing that's important to notice is that Jesus didn't just give the disciples a big job and then go walk away. He's not like, okay, go do this and then peace out. But the opposite is true, is that Jesus didn't say, okay, I'll do everything. I got this. This is my show. I'm going to run it. So what I want to do is I want to throw up some verses back on the screen, and 38 through 41 of Mark 6, and I just want to read that together first, okay? But actually, before we start that, the question that I want us to answer in the chat box is, how does Jesus give his disciples tools to face the challenge? And in what ways does Jesus work with them? So how does he give them tools, and how does he work with them? Let's keep that in the back of our mind as we read this. Mark 6, 38 through 41. He said to them, "How much bread do you have? Take a look." After checking, he said, 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish. So then Jesus directed the disciples to seat all the people in groups as though they were having a banquet on the green grass. They sat down in groups of hundreds and fifties. He took the 5 loaves and the 2 fish, looked up to heaven, blessed them, broke the loaves into 2 pieces, and gave them to his disciples to set before the people. He gave them to his disciples to set before the people. He also divided the 2 fish among them all. So remember, a few weeks ago we observed Jesus stepping into an unsteady boat with his disciples at the beginning of their journey, right? When he was first calling them, he was stepping into the boat. Now we see the same exact disciples, but they're in another unsteady environment, an unsteady situation, but this time it's without a boat. But as the disciples, as they listened to Jesus and developed trust in Jesus, they were being given the power to meet the needs of others with him. So they continued to invest in the relationship with God, and in doing so, they were able to have the power to meet the needs with Jesus. So in other words, we are co-heirs with Christ. We are on Jesus's team doing this together. You could say that they were probably pretty anxious, but they weren't alone, and they had each other. So the question I want to ask you is, why doesn't Jesus just feed the crowd himself, right? Like, why doesn't he just have the bread and the fish just come right down, boom, magically appear in front of everybody? If you got some suggestions, I want to hear them in the chat. Why doesn't Jesus just feed the crowd himself? So I want you to give a best guess. As you're saying that, I'll say this. While we don't know for sure why Jesus didn't just feed the crowd himself, we can see throughout the Gospels and the book of Acts, Jesus' strategy to spread the message and the miracles included teaching us to do what he did and also giving us the Holy Spirit. Through this story of feeding the 5,000, we can see that among this smaller group of disciples, Jesus was actually growing a circle of care whose purpose wasn't just for their own care. Ultimately, they were being equipped to go and do what Jesus did by helping others to know and experience Jesus' peace to all people. So in the midst of their insecurities, their imperfections, and even when they were tired and hangry and cranky and all those things that we get every day, they had an opportunity to pass God's power and ultimately God's love to other people. So I want to talk about God's image and how we are made in God's image. And I'd like to first say, maybe you're like me and you have doubt. Maybe like me, and sometimes you doubt and you find it hard to believe that God can work through you to bring help and hope to those around us. I think some days I get up and I'm fired up. I am the light of Christ and I can do good things in the name of God to share his hope. But then there are other times I wake up and I'm like, man, I'm a waste of space. And I don't do anything that's constructive to the kingdom. And why would God call me? These teenagers they need someone else. Or, my family members, like they need someone else to share the love with them. And so if you're like me, you can relate. But here's the important thing to remember. Jesus didn't ask us to be perfect. He didn't ask us to be perfect disciples. What he's asking us to do is to trust him. He's asking us to build a relationship with him and then to trust him. And so if you hear nothing else today, if you've already gotten distracted, or if you're about to lose your attention span, I want you to know that God is not calling us to be perfect, but he's calling us to trust him and to invest in a relationship with him. So as followers of Jesus, there's some characteristics about ourselves that we can find in this story. The most important one is that we are made in God's image. Each and every single one of us are made in God's image. That means we are uniquely crafted to reflect and share God's love and God's power with others. That's how we were made. We also know this, that we were made to be connected with others. It was the way that the disciples worked together that enabled them to offer the help and hope to those around them. We are at our healthiest, on our most powerful, when we really see each other and begin working with one another. And that's the beautiful thing about people, is that we're better together when we are able to connect with one another and share a common good. God can use that to spread his power and his love to people. So when the group of disciples, when they looked around, they had what they needed to get started. They had a strong circle that was connected with one another. That's the first one. The second one was they knew God and they spent time learning from and working with Jesus. And the third thing is that they were able to reflect on God's power and be a part of helping and healing others. Remember this, when our life starts to feel unsteady, whether we're anxious about food or rest or whatever it is that we're anxious about, remember that we can do three things. We can reflect, we can recenter, we can reconnect. We can reflect, recenter, and reconnect. And I want to break those three things down real quick. The first one, reflect. What does it mean to reflect? Well, it means that we have to understand and recognize and realize that we are made in the image of God. We have to reflect. That means we're uniquely designed to experience God's power ourselves and then share that with others. We need to recenter. We understand that after reflecting, we recenter because we understand that spending time with God is important because we are made to know God. We are made to discover our relationship with him and discover more about him. And when we're focused on listening to God, the pressures that come from the outside world dwindle. Because the voice we hear is the Father's, and it's not somebody else's. It's not social media, it's not the news, it's not your friends, and it's not your parents. I think your parents usually have really good things to say, but the thing that's most important is what does the Father say to you? So we need to recenter. We need to spend time with God. We need to pray. We need to get into the Word, and we need to make that essential in everything that we do. So the third thing is we need to reconnect. What does it mean to reconnect? Well, we have other followers, other believers. We have other teenagers that love God, and we need to connect in those circles. We are made to be connected with each other, And we are at our healthiest and our most powerful when we are working together and when we are seeing each other at work. And just like in the passage, it's how we share the hope. It's how we share the bread with others. And it's a shared thing that we do as a circle, as a community of believers. So the last thing I want to end on is our take-home sheet. So right now, your parents just got an email in their inbox, and there's this take-home sheet. And I really hope and pray that you guys have been taking that seriously. We've sent them out the last 3 weeks, and I hope that your parents have been able to get that to you. If you haven't gotten it yet, let me know. We can get you one. But I just want to talk about that real quick. I want to encourage you to fill that out. So it's called Look Inside. It's a little take-home sheet. Look Inside. So this week when we look inside, we'll reflect on a prayer that connects us with God's people all around the world, and it's been prayed ever since Christianity began. We can pray this prayer knowing that we're connected with God, and at the same time we're being rooted in and connected to a big, caring community of faith. We're not perfect. We as believers are not perfect, but we're a group of people who are trusting in and walking with God through our own fears and anxieties. We aren't perfect, but we're trusting, we're walking with God in our own fears and in our own anxieties. And just like the people gathered in the Bible story that we just read in Mark 6, and they passed the bread around in response to Jesus, and they watched a beautiful thing happen that day. I want to encourage you today to pass on bread that comes from the Father with someone else. Pass on the hope that you've experienced. Pass on the joy that you've experienced with somebody else, because we're all needing to cling to hope during these times. We're all needing to find joy and peace in the midst of the chaos that we're in. So I encourage you guys today to fill out this take-home sheet and to really spend some intentional time with God this week, and don't let homework or video games take up the majority of your time, the time that God has given you on this earth. So we love you guys. We're praying for you all the time, and I hope you have a beautiful week. Please reach out to me. Do the stamp card. I want to see you guys engage a little bit more on social media. So if you have it, I want you guys to comment on there, tag. We want to see that you guys are still alive and moving. So, all right, guys, we'll see you on Friday for a little bit of some game night. Peace.